Once a crowded city full of fun and excitement, and then just an empty place without people and other live creatures. That's how sad abandoned cities can sound. How do these places become empty? Do people just get up and leave? Why do they never go back? Sometimes that's not the case, but the catastrophic events are the real hidden explanations, and there are lots of questions that still don't have answers. But it's as clear as day that these places shouldn't have been treated like that. So with that in mind, let's see the world's largest abandoned cities. Number 6. Ordos, Kangbashi, China. Located in Inner Mongolia, Ordos, Kangbashi was built to be a modern city with stunning architecture, large stadiums, and gorgeous public spaces. The city achieved all of that in just under 10 years, but it actually failed to attract people. And unlike typical ghost towns, Kangbashi has never had a bustling population of permanent residents. Seems like Kangbashi is a town that died before it was even born. It was built to house 300,000 people, but only 70,000 people moved into the city. Eventually, those people started to trickle out as well. The city stopped building and went bankrupt. Today, it is largely a ghost town, with most of the buildings completely empty. As it's known, Ordos has racked up a $300 billion bill of debt, and entire chains of developers and other companies have been falling into default, and municipal bankruptcy means something very different in China than it does in most other countries. There is an inherently imbalanced fiscal system here that requires cities to pay for a disproportional amount of their expenses in relation to the amount of money they're required to fork over to Beijing and even many other thriving cities like Wuhan. Technically, they end up running up massive losses. Though this cannot literally be called bankruptcy, as no city in China is permitted this recourse. Instead, they're bailed out by the Communist Party, which owns the banks and then is essentially just lending money to itself and then covering the deficit in repayment. Number 5. Wittenoom, Australia. What was once a thriving mining community nestled in a small town in Western Australia now lays almost abandoned, surrounded by daunting signs warning people to stay out. Wittenoom is no longer printed on any official maps, and all road signs that used to bear its name have long been removed. It is regarded as the most contaminated site in the southern hemisphere and has previously been labeled as Australia's Chernobyl. The town was originally built to support the mining of blue asbestos, and during the 1950s, it was Pilbara's largest town and Australia's only supplier of asbestos until the early 1960s. During its peak, there were around 20,000 residents in Wittenoom. Now, just 2 people remain. The mine was shut down in 1966 due to a declining profitability and growing concerns about the health risks associated with asbestos mining. By that time, it was far too late for many residents who had been exposed to a deadly amount of asbestos. It also found that it had been sprayed by rain and erosion, causing nearby creeks to be contaminated. Houses and belongings were left abandoned as people rushed to flee the contaminated town as more information emerged about just how deadly the situation was. In 2006, the government shut down the power supply to Wittenoom, and the following year it was officially removed from maps and road signs. Number 4. Varosha, Famagusta. Varosha is an abandoned southern quarter of the Cypriot city of Famagusta. It might be abandoned now, but before 1974, it was a modern tourist area of the city. But what happened in 1974? Why did it all change? Well, in 1974, Turkey invaded Cyprus. As the opposing Turkish and Greek armies descended on the area around Varosha, the residents fled for their lives. Varosha has remained abandoned and under the control of the Turkish military since then. It has been fenced off, and nobody but military and UN personnel are allowed into the once beautiful tourist destination. There have been numerous attempts to broker a deal that will once again open up Varosha, but nothing has been agreed upon. Now, the high-rises and beaches of Varosha are slowly being retaken by nature from the far side of the military fence. The main features of Varosha included John F. Kennedy Avenue, a street which ran from close to the port of Famagusta through Varosha and parallel to Glossa Beach. Unlike JFK Avenue, there are many well-known high-rise hotels, including the King George Hotel, the Asterios Hotel, the Grecian Hotel, the Florida Hotel, and the Argo Hotel, which was the favorite hotel of Elizabeth Taylor. Another major street in Varosha was Leonidas, a major street that came off of JFK Avenue and headed west towards Vienna Corner. Leonidas was a major shopping and leisure street in the city, consisting of bars, restaurants, nightclubs, and even a Toyota car dealership. Number 3. Craco, Italy. Located in the arch of Italy's boot, Craco dates back to well before 1060. Throughout its thousand-year history, Craco saw many conflicts between monarchs, armies, and political ideologies. In 1963, the last 1,800 residents were forced to leave Craco for their own safety, and then were relocated to Craco-Peschiera, a new town in the valley below, according to ancient origins. The village sits on a cliff of 400 meters off the ground. Panoramic views, the city center can easily be defended from the average barbarian horde. Despite its advantages, Craco is at a serious natural disadvantage. Exposed to the elements along with earthquakes and landslides, Craco finally caved in near the millennium. Even without residents, the storied history of the town has left quite a monument to medieval architecture through the ages. The striking castle was built in 1300 and dominates the view on the cliff. Along with the castle, a church in Craco houses a statue of the Virgin Mary that was remarkably discovered in a nearby body of water. Even though emigration has left Craco eerily uninhabited, life returns to the town during one of the many religious festivals held there, paying homage to the Virgin Mary and the statue. 6 festivals happen in Craco from May to October. Visitors come during other seasons that can still enjoy the dilapidated town and views of the surrounding area, which include Kalanchi, aka the Badlands, arid and barren mounds below the cliffs of Craco. Number 2. Centralia, Pennsylvania. A century ago, Centralia, Pennsylvania was a busy small town filled with shops, residents, and a brisk mining business. Coal from local mines fueled its homes and its economy, and its 1,200 residents worked, played, and lived as tight-knit neighbors. It was once a bustling mining center, but a hidden underground fire has turned it into a smoldering ghost town. But today couldn't be more different. Centralia's streets are abandoned, most of its buildings are gone, and smoke wafts down graffiti-strewn highways where a prosperous town once stood. The formerly busy burg has turned into a ghost town. The cause was something that's still happening beneath Centralia's empty streets. A mine fire that has been burning for over 50 years, resulting in the devastation of a community and the eviction and impoverishment of many of its residents. As the years went on, the ground beneath the city itself became hotter and hotter, reaching over 900 degrees Fahrenheit in some locations. Smoke poured from sinkholes and gas-filled basements. Residents started to report health problems and homes began to tilt. According to the state's Department of Environmental Protection, the fire could burn for another century if left uncontrolled. Modern-day Centralia is known for as much as the blaze as the graffiti that covers its abandoned highway, as for the mining that once sustained it. Number 1. North Brother Island, New York. Less than a mile from Manhattan exists a little-known island that has been abandoned for over half a century, and whose history is checkered with death, disease, and decay. The city owns the 22-acre plot which pokes out from the East River between the South Bronx's industrial coast and a notorious prison, Rikers Island Correctional Center. From the 1880s through 1943, New York City used North Brother Island to quarantine people with highly contagious diseases, including the infamous Typhoid Mary, whose asymptomatic typhoid infection caused dozens of people she worked for to die of the disease. She was institutionalized here until her death in 1938, but the island's history does not stop there. In June of 1904, a steamship called the General Slocum burst into flames and sank in the East River. Only 321 people survived, and the bodies of 1,021 people washed ashore for days. After an unsuccessful run as a drug rehabilitation center for teens in the 1950s, the island was ultimately abandoned in 1963. Today, no one is permitted to visit the island without permission from the New York City Department of Parks and Rec, which manages the site as a bird sanctuary. One of their escorts also has to tag along. Which of these abandoned cities would you like most to visit? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video from us. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.